A worker noticed some terrifying signs. On his way home after work, his hand trembled as he reached toward the surface of the drill pipe. Upon closer inspection, his fingers were covered in wet mud. Before he could react, more slurry began pouring out of the well. What he saw next left everyone in shock. The worker quickly called the control room, but the next second, the slurry erupted like a giant dragon, smashing through the wellhead's protective barriers, knocking everyone to the ground. The control room immediately activated the blowout preventer. Valves and pipes were forcefully shut off. The spewing mud was finally stopped. But the crisis wasn't over. The pipe supervisor had to release all the pressure from the drill pipe within 30 seconds. Only then could they avoid a much larger disaster. Luckily, everything was successfully contained. He managed to stop the mud eruption. But little did they know, this was just the beginning. A deep-sea catastrophe was about to unfold. To test if humans could still reproduce, the apes brought a woman in front of Tyler. But Tyler wasn't interested at all. His mind was set on escape. He pretended to snuggle in and fall asleep. When the ape doctor got close, Tyler suddenly lunged at him, snatching the paper and pen from his hand. Even though he was beaten again, Tyler still wrote his name on the paper. The ape doctor froze. A mute person could write? He sent Tyler back to his room and told him to keep answering. Tyler kept drawing lines, trying to explain he was from Earth and had fallen during a space mission. The ape doctor said nothing can fly in the sky. Tyler folded the paper into a small plane and gently tossed it. The ape doctor was stunned. Just then, the ape leader barged into the room. When he saw the paper plane, he was furious. It all pointed to the fact that they were hiding some truth. After being locked back in the cage, Tyler didn't give up. He knocked out a guard and escaped. But in this city ruled by apes, he was like a mouse being hunted. Until finally, he had nowhere left to run. With the apes closing in, Tyler let out a human scream. It was the first time anyone on this planet had ever heard a human speak.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
The man stood in front of the mirror, carefully applying hair growth lotion to his scalp. Suddenly, the lotion stuck to his skin and he felt a sharp pain. Even though the pain was unbearable, he gritted his teeth and kept applying the lotion. He had no idea what terrible thing was about to happen. An hour earlier, he had bought a bottle of hair growth lotion. The seller had promised it was both magical and effective. The instructions said, Step 1, shave your head. Step 2, apply the lotion. Step 3, wear the silicone cap and wait a few minutes. When done, you'll have thick, full hair. He stared at himself in the mirror, hesitating for a moment. In the end, he grabbed scissors and cut his hair. Then, using a razor, he shaved his scalp clean. Afterward, he opened the bottle, ready to apply the lotion, but he didn't expect the lotion to suddenly jump out and stick to his skin. He just stood there, staring at the smiling man on the bottle. He hesitated again, but finally decided to continue. He applied the lotion to his scalp. A wave of pain shot through him, but he didn't stop. He kept squeezing the bottle. Suddenly, the lotion shot out and splashed into his eyes. The man recoiled, stumbling backward, and fell hard to the ground. He quickly started rinsing his eyes with water. Then, the horrifying thing happened. Dick woke up one morning, only to find his hands and feet had switched places. The strange sight shocked him. He thought he might be hallucinating, so he decided to go back to sleep, hoping it was just a bad dream. But as soon as he lay down, a familiar foot smell filled the air, leaving him completely stunned. Just then, his girlfriend walked in and said there were guests at the house. Panicked, Dick quickly pulled the blanket over himself and told her he wasn't feeling well, wanting to sleep a bit longer. Seeing how he looked, his girlfriend thought he was really sick, so she left to greet the guests. Dick hurriedly put on his shoes and tried to find somewhere safe to hide. But when he opened the door, he realized the guests had already arrived. With no place to hide, Dick went back to his room. When the others entered, they were all stunned. Dick had twisted himself into a bizarre position. He said it was a new advanced yoga pose. After he tricked the guests into leaving, Charlie walked in. He asked what kind of exercise Dick was doing. Dick quickly explained he was working on leg stretches. Charlie had left his hat on Dick's bed. After taking the hat, Charlie complimented Dick's splits. As Charlie was about to leave, he reached out to say goodbye, but when Dick reached out to shake his hand, both of them froze in shock. An alien came to Earth to see a dentist. Strangely, it had 5 rows of teeth, but the dentist wasn't shocked at all. He calmly picked up his mirror and began inspecting the alien's mouth. When he spotted a bad tooth, he turned to his assistant and asked for an anesthesia mask, preparing to put the alien under. The problem was, the alien's mouth was too big. The mask couldn't cover it at all, so the dentist had no choice but to shove the mask into its mouth. Surprisingly, the alien didn't react. Even stranger, this alien couple always slept standing up. Their life was peaceful and sweet. Soon, the wife's belly began to grow bigger and bigger. Then, one day, her water broke suddenly, flooding out like a river.
My blue valve has broken. The birth spasm has begun.
She was rushed to the delivery room, but the baby couldn't wait. The wife started dancing in a strange rhythm. The husband stood helplessly beside her. Then a scream echoed through the room, shaking everything. The alien baby was finally born. But when the nurse saw it, she fainted on the spot. The assassin outside made no sound, but Dick could already feel the killer's presence. As the assassin tried to sneak closer, Dick immediately noticed everyone in the house was experienced, so the assassin decided to pretend to retreat, preparing for a surprise attack. Dick, however, sharply sensed the assassin's position. The two of them waited in silence, knowing they had to confirm each other's moves before deciding on the deadly strike. Just as the tension in the air reached its peak, someone knocked on the door. Before anyone could react, the police had already sealed off the area. Dick slowly walked out to assess the situation, not revealing that an assassin was outside. While they spoke, the assassin outside silently watched. Suddenly, an unnatural look flashed in Dick's eyes. The police quickly noticed his strange behavior.
Oh, 'cause they will run you down to the door. Yeah, someday we'll run you down to.
But when they searched the house, they found nothing. Later that night, as Dick prepared to sleep, he still felt something was off. Carefully, he lifted the blanket and discovered a body wrapped in plastic. Roe was stunned by what he discovered. The surface of the tree trunk was covered with fibers. They resembled strands of human hair. He immediately raised his dagger and stabbed into the bark. A white fluid unexpectedly flowed out from inside the tree. He smeared some of the fluid onto his hand for close inspection. A drop slid down his finger and fell to the ground. That drop instantly caused the weeds to sprout vivid green shoots. Seeing this scene left Roy completely dumbfounded. He applied more of the fluid onto his own wound. Within 3 seconds, the gash on his abdomen healed entirely. The effect of the fluid astonished him. A bold idea flashed through Roy's mind. He then repeatedly pierced the bark with his dagger, gathering more of the white fluid, and then drank all of it. A strange phenomenon occurred immediately. The entire tree suddenly burst into a blinding light. Roy had no time to react. A beam of golden radiance shot into his body. The searing pain drove him to his knees. The next second, his abdomen seemed forced open by some unknown power. A bundle of plant matter began growing wildly from inside his belly. More green shoots kept bursting out after it. Roy desperately tried to tear them away, but the rate of growth far exceeded his movements. He was quickly pulled into the wet soil, unable to break free. Just as he fell into complete despair, an unexpected change suddenly emerged. Dick had a miniature girlfriend. He traced her silhouette onto a handkerchief. Then he stitched several pieces of fabric together. Just like that, he made a tiny dress. Anna felt that one dress wasn't enough. The next day, when no one was home, she slipped out through a crack in the window. When Anna reached the front door, someone passed by. She panicked and hid behind a flower pot at once. After avoiding all attention, Anna reached the first step of the staircase. She looked up and froze completely. The gigantic staircase was like Mount Everest. By the time Anna climbed to the top, she was exhausted to the point of collapse. At last, Anna found her little treasure box, where her toy-sized dresses were kept. Soon her bag became swollen and heavy, so heavy it nearly toppled her over. After a long and difficult struggle, Anna finally returned to Dick's house. She was just about to sit down and rest, when she suddenly heard the door opening. Anna immediately hid behind a table leg, but it wasn't Dick who entered. It was a thief breaking in. The intruder noticed nothing about her, and went straight to rummaging through drawers. Anna climbed onto another table and dashed toward the bedroom. She sent Dick a hurried message. Just then, footsteps sounded at the doorway. The thief hadn't stepped inside yet, but Anna had already frozen in place, posing as a doll. However, her disguise wasn't perfect. The thief approached her step by step. Anna was watching the news. She suddenly noticed that the killer on TV looked very similar to Jack, and Jack was sitting right beside her. Anna immediately warned him to pay attention. Jack said the suspect in the news had a beard. The next second, the announcer corrected it, saying the suspect's beard was fake. They realized the suspect actually had no beard and looked very much like Jack. The broadcast then mentioned the killer's height as 6 feet 4 inches. Jack explained he was only 5'4". The announcer corrected it again, saying the suspect's real height was only 5 feet, confirmed from surveillance footage. They kept listening to the news and learned that a specific song was playing when the suspect appeared. Jack let out a breath of relief, because that song was the one he hated the most. Just when they thought Jack had been mistaken for someone else, the phone suddenly rang. The ringtone was exactly the same as that song. Jack immediately said it was a tone his mother set. The broadcast then announced the exact time of the incident. During that time, Jack and his girlfriend were at Disneyland. But the broadcast quickly added that the crime scene was the underground parking garage of Disneyland. Jack immediately explained to his companions that with 7 billion people on Earth, coincidences like this were common. But the broadcast added that a witness heard the suspect say the exact same sentence at the scene. Jack opened his mouth to explain again, but his companions no longer believed him. Dick ate moldy pickles every day for an entire year, 365 days in total. He never missed a single day. Eventually, his face began to itch. The discomfort forced him to scratch. Fungal colonies formed pustules on his skin. He clawed at them until they ruptured. Yet he didn't care. None of this seemed to affect him at all. One day, Carter could no longer stand it. Even the walls were covered in mold. While Dick was at work, he decided to clean the entire house. Carter scrubbed every corner thoroughly. He even pried open Dick's bedroom door and cleaned the family portrait inside the room. When Dick returned home after work and saw everything, he immediately turned around and walked out of the house. It wasn't until midnight that Carter woke up. He realized Dick still hadn't come back. At that moment, he noticed something. Large patches of mold had reappeared. Carter walked into the room. He saw mold spreading over the walls once again. Just as he was about to fetch the cleaning supplies, Dick suddenly appeared. He turned around slowly. Carter saw the fungi on Dick's face had fully matured. Slender hyphae were continuously extending from Dick's skin. The grotesque sight shocked Carter. The next second, several pitch-black hands reached out from the portrait behind him, grabbing Carter. Then the fungi engulfed Carter's entire body. Dick revealed a satisfied expression. He gently closed the door. The killer suddenly realized the girl was touching his ear. He suspected she was with the police and began tailing her, ready to eliminate her when no one was watching. After the elevator doors opened, he followed the girl into an apartment building. He intentionally let her enter the elevator first, then pulled a knife from his pocket. The girl had no idea she was in danger. Just as the elevator doors were about to close, the girl's father suddenly appeared.
干嘛？
我的话你听不听啊？
He seemed to be scolding his daughter, but his movements were unusually calm. He approached the girl and removed a listening device from her ear. The killer didn't want to reveal where he lived, so he pressed the button for the first floor. He glanced sideways at the girl's ear and saw nothing there. Then he quietly put the knife back into his pocket. Even so, his guard remained high. The girl's father was a veteran. He didn't walk far. Instead, he quickly led the girl to a nearby apartment. He picked up a package by the door as cover and used a specialized tool to pry the door open decisively. Only after seeing the lights turn on inside did the killer finally leave with relief. This is a serpent woman. She had cultivated for 1,000 years before she finally transformed fully into a human. She began to twist her alluring body, then pulled hard on her own arm. Layers of snakeskin started peeling away. She swiftly stripped off the remaining skin and soon took on a human appearance. Her pupils quickly contracted, but her legs had not yet adapted, so she still couldn't walk. She hadn't eaten anything for more than 1,000 years. Suddenly, she discovered a nest of enormous eggs. She immediately grabbed one and shoved it into her mouth. However, the massive egg got stuck in her throat, causing her eyes to roll back. After finishing her meal, the serpent woman noticed 2 young women bathing in the river. She seized the chance to steal their clothes and then headed toward a nearby village. The village was celebrating a water-splashing festival. Suddenly, a man began playing a long flute, trying to enchant a snake with his music. The serpent woman reacted instantly to the sound, her body swaying with the melody, but she was spotted by 2 vulgar thugs. They covered her head with a red cloth and took her to a luxurious villa in the wilderness. Just as the thugs were about to act, the serpent woman suddenly began to mutate. Terrified, the thugs tried to flee, but she would not give them the chance. In the end, all of them were devoured by her. After feeding, the serpent woman entered a hibernation state, preparing for her next hunt. While Becky was on duty at the diner, a group of thugs began harassing her. They loudly made crude comments about her body, but Becky didn't get angry. Instead, she offered them coffee for free. When she handed them the coffee, she accidentally spilled the scalding coffee onto one of the men. She pretended to apologize and bent down to help clean it up. However, the thugs still held a grudge. They waited for her after she got off work. That night, Becky heard a noise downstairs, and when she went down to check, Becky struggled to break free from the restraints. But while the thugs were distracted by her dog, another thug struck the dog and knocked it unconscious. They forced Becky into a corner. At that moment, someone appeared behind them. It was Becky's mother, holding a weapon and forcing the thugs to surrender. They slowly raised their hands. However, one of the thugs secretly reached for the back of his waistband, even though Becky shouted a warning, trying to stop a tragedy, but it was already too late. An enraged Becky stood up, but her resistance was useless, and she was knocked out. When she woke up, she found that her mother was no longer breathing. The thugs had taken her dog away. She stood sorrowfully before her mother's grave. Something inside her changed completely. Her second personality broke free from its restraints, and a dormant demon within began to awaken. When the bully suddenly launched an attack, Rena immediately grabbed her gun to fight back. However, the bully charged forward fearlessly, hiding by the door and pulling out a second axe. After hearing no sound outside, Rena moved toward the doorway, but she was ambushed by the bully. She was unprepared, and her gun was taken from her. Just as the man tried to overpower her, Rena suddenly shoved him hard, then stepped onto a stool and delivered a powerful back kick. The kick sent the bully staggering in confusion, and she finally hurled him into a corner. As the man fell to the floor, a gunshot echoed through the room. Yet Rena was far from satisfied. She walked gracefully toward the bus. Soon she boarded the bus. An elderly man slowly rose from his seat, realizing he was her true target. The old man quickly reached into his bag and drew a gun, trying to find a chance to resist, but Rena was faster.
Wrong answer.
The lower half of this woman's body is quite bulky, but in front of the camera she appears like a petite girl. Anna is a food streaming host. One day, her good friend Lisa invited her to join a live stream. However, Anna had no idea that it was all a trap set by Lisa. To attract viewers, Lisa played a video of Anna pretending to eat food. This instantly destroyed Anna's online reputation. Then Lisa brought out 1,000 hot dogs and challenged Anna. Anna had no choice but to accept. But after Lisa finished all the hot dogs, Anna had only taken a few bites. After that, Lisa became the #1 streamer in Korea, with fans sending her gifts worth tens of thousands, and even champagne worth $100,000. Just as Lisa was happily dancing, Anna suddenly sent her a PK challenge. Lisa agreed without hesitation. The two began competing. When Lisa finished 100 kilograms of salmon, she realized Anna had completed 500 kilograms of food. Lisa decided to go for another round, so they began eating cake. Even though Lisa gave it her all, she still couldn't beat Anna. Choking on the cake, Lisa hurriedly opened the champagne, but after just one sip, she collapsed onto the table and lost her life. Anna successfully won the $2 million prize. The reason she could eat so much was that a few days earlier, she had spent $1 million to have a cow's stomach transplanted into her body. But due to rejection reactions, Anna's back began to deteriorate, and her abdomen became abnormally swollen. Anna had paid an enormous price for the $2 million reward, and she began to wonder whether it was truly worth it. Do you think it was worth it? I am a top-tier tracking specialist. This time, the target I must lock onto is a murderer. He is known as the Wolf King. This man took in several homeless children. He taught them every skill he had mastered. 10 years later, those children had become highly proficient. Each possessed a distinct specialty. Some excelled at disguise. Some could alter their appearance with expert precision. They could even perform convincing gender presentation shifts. Their team also had powerful technical support, combined with the Wolf King directing them from the shadows. Their operations had virtually no weaknesses. Ordinary police officers were completely unable to deal with them. But this time, they were up against me. After confirming the Wolf King's movements, I assigned a female officer to tail him. Her disguise was extremely natural, but the moment the Wolf King passed by her, he saw through her instantly. Fortunately, I was monitoring the entire situation. Just as the elevator doors were about to close, I rushed in and prevented a dangerous incident. After the elevator reached the top floor, the Wolf King did not leave immediately. He kept staring at us, trying to avoid exposing himself. I signaled the female officer to pretend to pick up a package. I then used the chance to quickly pry open the door. Only after the Wolf King saw the room's lights turn on did he leave, but his suspicion had not disappeared. Gwen turned and saw a steel pipe weighing 100 pounds coming straight at her. She immediately threw herself to the ground, barely dodging the blow, but the pedestrians on the ground weren't so lucky. Some were knocked down on the spot. Others were trapped under heavy debris, unable to move. The chaos wasn't over. A new danger was already on its way. A runaway crane crashed into the building. One corner of the entire structure collapsed in an instant. Gwen didn't have time to escape and was thrown to the ground by the impact. Desperately, she grabbed a phone line, but it couldn't support her weight, snapping within seconds. Gwen slid toward the edge of the building, on the verge of falling. Just then, a reporter downstairs was filming the scene. He unknowingly captured the whole moment and instantly recognized Gwen. She was the daughter of a local police officer. The officer, horrified, looked up at his daughter, praying silently in his mind, but danger kept closing in. A table suddenly fell from above. The next second, it slammed into Gwen, sending her flying. Luckily, she managed to grab a protruding pipe in midair, but before she could catch her breath, an even worse threat arrived. The out-of-control crane came barreling toward her at terrifying speed, its massive force instantly knocking her down. This stretch of road was eerie. For several months, severe traffic accidents had been happening here. The traffic police had put up warning signs everywhere and installed cameras. Sim and Coase were assigned to patrol in shifts, focusing especially on the street racers late at night. The two men were cold and hungry, so they quickly started boiling noodles by the roadside. Just as Jack picked up his bowl ready to eat, the camera suddenly flickered. The road was empty. Sim had to go check it out. As he got closer, an old woman suddenly appeared in front of him. He rushed over to help her, but just then, a car sped toward them. Jack quickly pushed the woman out of the way, but when he looked up, she had vanished into thin air. The two of them went back to review the footage, and they saw a blurry silhouette in the images. The captain said they'd encountered a ghost. Jack was so frightened that he couldn't continue his night shift, but the captain wouldn't let him back down. So Jack had no choice but to muster the courage to patrol again at midnight. The cold wind howled, and a strange sound floated from behind them. When they turned around, they saw the old woman, beating a short man with the sole of her shoe. Before they could process what they were seeing, the camera flickered 3 more times. The two of them immediately ran, even dropping the camera on the road. They discovered a creature called the Hundred-Eyed Beast. Its grotesque appearance sent a chill down everyone's spine. Fortunately, they had prepared in advance. They knew the Hundred-Eyed Beast was terrified of onion water, so they had filled a large bowl with it. But when the creature actually appeared, all their courage was instantly shattered. To fight the monster, Jesse took the first step. The moment the Hundred-Eyed Beast noticed them, it immediately went into a defensive stance. Seeing the tension rise, Zack quickly prepared to launch an attack, but he failed. The situation only got worse. Ollie had no choice but to keep facing the creature. Lucy realized they couldn't hesitate any longer. She grabbed the onion water and launched a full-force attack, but it still had no effect. Just when everyone thought there was no hope, the Hundred-Eyed Beast made a fatal mistake. In the end, Lucy successfully captured the creature. Although the mission ended successfully, they all knew the challenges ahead would be even more terrifying. According to ancient records, the next monster was called the Mountain King. It possessed incredible speed and overwhelming strength. The way to summon it was extremely bizarre. All one had to do was insult the valley. The more vicious the insult, the higher the chance it would appear. With this strange method of summoning in hand, they immediately set off for the nearest valley. Anna found a strange bug. A doctor told her it could help her lose weight fast, so she picked it up, put it in her mouth, and swallowed it. Soon after, Anna went for a modeling audition. The judges were impressed with her look. She quickly became the most sought-after model. But when Anna got home, she immediately started rummaging through her kitchen, shoveling food into her mouth. She even ate moldy pumpkin. Strangely, none of this made her gain weight. Even though she ate high-calorie food every day, Anna kept getting thinner. However, her temper began to spiral out of control. She became irritable and rude, constantly picking fights with everyone. She knew her behavior wasn't normal, but she couldn't stop. As time passed, Anna's mood continued to decline, and her body grew weaker and weaker. Eventually, she couldn't take it anymore, so she turned to the doctor for help again. The doctor gave her a bottle of medicine, telling her to drink it, then lie in the bathtub and wait for the bug to crawl out of her body. The bug slowly slid out of her stomach. Anna gritted her teeth and grabbed it, trying to pull the creature out, but the bug wouldn't leave her body. Just when Anna was about to give up, her friend suddenly pushed open the door. Anna's name was Anna. To confirm the countdown to death, she dragged a corpse out of the morgue, using the dead person's finger to unlock the phone. Sure enough, the countdown timer on the app had hit 0. Back home, Anna carefully checked the app's details. She found that everyone who had downloaded it had died in strange and unexplained ways. She immediately tried to uninstall it, but no matter what she did, she couldn't delete it. Desperate, she searched online for a solution, but all she found were terrifying records left by previous victims. Just as she shut down her computer, fear overwhelmed her, and she rushed out of the room, her emotions completely unraveling. In a fit of rage, she smashed her phone, but the countdown was still there, clearly visible. The next day, Anna went to a phone store and bought a new phone, but the app automatically installed itself again. Only one day was left before the countdown hit 0. Suddenly, a pair of cold hands covered her eyes. In her panic, she accidentally backed her car into the one behind her. The owner was about to explode in anger when Jack showed up and helped her smooth things over. Even more bizarrely, Jack had also downloaded the same app. This meant they were both being chased by the same curse. The two of them decided to team up and uncover the truth. The top agent slid under the tarp in one swift move, trying to dodge the police. At that moment, dozens of officers were patrolling nearby. The entire street was sealed off. The truck moved only a short distance before an elite squad stopped it. The officers told the driver to step out for inspection. Jim held his breath, every nerve stretched to the limit. The driver was about to open the cargo area. Right at that critical moment, Jim thought of a way out. He signaled his partner to spread her legs and brace the frame, hiding completely under the tarp. During the first check, the officer didn't notice anything strange, but a seasoned cop caught the shadow on the tarp. A doubt rose in his mind. He decided to climb onto the truck for a deeper inspection. The man heard the ladder hit the side of the truck and instantly signaled his partner to switch positions. They pressed the warped tarp flat, making the surface look clean and smooth. Even with the officer standing on top, the tarp looked normal again. Yet the officer still wasn't convinced. He stayed up there, watching. The two held onto the metal beams, not daring to make a sound. Another officer checked the underside of the truck. The woman under the tarp was shaking. She was close to her limit. Just as the officer was about to leave, his suspicion fading away, she finally reached her breaking point. And something unexpected happened. The man ran to the next door, trying to trick a boy into opening it. He thought the boy would have a harder time sensing danger. What he didn't expect was how fast the boy opened the door. Luckily, Anna stopped everything in time. After the crisis, Jack warned everyone that zombies were outside and no one should open a door lightly. An old man didn't believe Jack. He wanted to open the main door to check. While Jack was explaining, Anna pushed the door open. A zombie was already hiding in the dark, waiting for the old man to take that one step. But the old man sensed the danger and stayed inside. To make everyone believe it, Jack and Anna took a few people and stepped outside to look around. A social media influencer insisted on coming to film a video. He had no idea he was bringing new trouble with him. Halfway down the road, something unexpected happened. This series is called Happiness. This guy's superpower is straight up outrageous. He only tightened his muscles a little, and the whole street lit up like someone hit a party switch. The silver-haired old lady, the boy with acne all over his face. They both started shaking with excitement in an instant.
We're fucking coming, man!
Everyone on the street got pulled into the emotion, like a surprise carnival just exploded. Even the balloons on the sidewalk shot upward. The Iron Man next to him just froze. He didn't want to look different from everyone else, so he forced a face that made it seem like he was enjoying it. The next second, the scene went completely out of control.
Fucking kill you!
A fire hydrant blew open with a loud pop, and water blasted out like a wild fountain. The billboard started flashing like crazy. The man waved his hands and apologized right away. He said he never meant to make it this big. He only wanted to tighten the muscles in his neck a little. The killer stood in front of everyone, showing his way of taking a life with arrogance. I stood in the crowd, filled with sorrow and anger. My mother died in his hands. Watching him show no remorse, seeing that proud look on his face, I couldn't hold my emotions anymore. I wanted to end his life myself. Several officers tried to stop me, but they couldn't. Just as I was about to reach the killer, a taser shot hit me. I fell to the ground with no strength left. The killer walked past me, a mocking smile at the corner of his mouth. Mocha was in the crowd watching all of this. The scene stunned him. It reminded him of his own pain, the kind of tearing loss only those who lived through it can understand. There is no death penalty in Korea. No matter how cruel the crime is, the one who did it may still avoid punishment. Countless families are left with pain that never ends. To change all of this, Mocha built a place for revenge, a base made to punish criminals. He called this team the Revenge Taxi. That night, Mocha found me. He gave me a taxi driver card and invited me to join the Revenge Taxi to deal with those who stand above the law. My anger was still burning. I didn't hesitate. I agreed to his invitation right away. Curry rushed over and checked the girl's injuries. Right then, the car that had just escaped the scene suddenly turned back. It sped toward the girl like something was driving it mad. The car lost control and flipped, then plunged straight into the river. Curry didn't stop for a second. He picked the girl up and ran to the hospital as fast as he could. After an emergency surgery, the doctors saved her life, but her legs were gone forever. Watching her family break down in tears, Curry was swallowed by guilt. If he hadn't chased the truth, if he hadn't tried to uncover what caused his daughter's death, this innocent girl would never have been dragged into this deadly plot. 3 days earlier, Curry had gotten a call from his daughter Rosie, a call he hadn't received in a long time. Rosie had just gotten home when her nose started bleeding non-stop. Then the violent vomiting hit. Curry panicked and rushed to her side. Rosie was shaking all over, repeating the same words. "We have to go to the hospital. There's no time left." Curry froze. In a panic, he grabbed his coat and tried to take her out the door. But the moment he opened it... This movie is called Edge of Darkness. Jack accidentally dropped an egg. In an instant, it cooked on the ground. Before he could even react, the ground seemed ready to explode. Jack jumped into his car and sped away, but he hadn't gone far. The next moment, huge flames erupted from the ground, forming a fire tornado that swallowed every nearby building. At the last second, Jack slammed the accelerator and escaped just before the fire engulfed him. Safe for now, he got out and looked back. The city was gone, swallowed by fire, and this was only the beginning. Across the United States, on the beaches, something unbelievable happened. A blast of icy air swept in, freezing the waves instantly, then spreading inland. People tried to run, but it was too late. Those who were slow turned into frozen statues. Even a plane flying high wasn't spared. It froze solid midair and crashed to the ground. Meanwhile, in India, massive sand tornadoes tore through the land. In Japan, giant hailstones fell from the sky. It was as if the apocalypse had come. Humans could only watch as they faced near extinction. It felt like God himself was sweeping the earth. Scientists used an atomic magnetic net, trying to trap the soul of a deceased man. Their goal? To prove God exists.
What happened?
What is that? There. Right there. What do you see? He's standing there. You don't see it? No, what does that say?
There's nothing there, Will.
Strangely, only Anna seemed able to see it all. To everyone else, there was just a corpse. Then the man's soul started moving. It thrashed, as if scared of something. He even reached out to Anna for help. The next moment, he seemed to see whatever terrified him. He curled up in a corner, shaking. The instruments picked up an unknown force trying to break through the magnetic net. Everyone guessed. Maybe God was coming to take him. But Anna knew better. It wasn't God. It was the thing he feared most. At that moment, the unknown force on the monitors broke through the net, trying to take his soul. Ignoring her colleagues' shouts, Anna slammed the main power switch. When the lights went out, a beam of white appeared above his head. He reached up, smiling, welcoming the glow.
Holy... Oh, what the hell? Damon! What did they do to my leg?
Jack had only taken a nap. When he woke up, he discovered that one of his legs had been replaced with a prosthetic. Jack couldn't adjust to the new leg because the prosthetic didn't fit his body properly. Meanwhile, researchers were silently observing everything from behind the window. Jack struggled for a while, then slowly started to lose strength. Suddenly, he saw his girlfriend Anna ahead. She was the next test subject. Jack knew he had to get her out. With that, he kicked the door open, scanning the area for an escape route. He quickly ran toward the ventilation duct below. Though it was incredibly difficult to move, Jack eventually found the exit. He and Anna escaped to a gas station. Jack told Anna to rest by a large truck while he went into the convenience store to vent his frustration. As Jack shouted in frustration, he was distracted by a news broadcast on the TV. When Jack turned around, he realized the truck had started to move. Without hesitation, he quickly started to chase after it. Even though the truck accelerated, Jack's running speed matched its pace. Before long, Jack caught up to the truck. The driver tried to speed up, but it was too late. Anna had already raised her gun and aimed it at him. Though Jack had lost a full leg, he had gained a lightning-fast prosthetic in return. To be continued. Jack suddenly realized he could pass through any object. This left him confused. His gaze accidentally landed on a photo where he was surrounded by flowers. It was then that Jack realized he was dead. He wandered aimlessly onto the street. A boy riding a bike suddenly collided with Jack. To Jack's surprise, the boy could actually see him. When Jack told the boy he was a ghost, the boy got scared and ran away. But Jack wasn't planning to let him go. The boy was the only person who could communicate with him. Jack tried to pull the boy off the bus, but he couldn't do it. So Jack followed the boy all the way home. After repeatedly assuring the boy he meant no harm, Jack finally explained his purpose. He needed the boy's help to sell the airplane he had designed. Jack had spent 10 years designing the plane. At first the boy was hesitant, but eventually he agreed. Then Jack began teaching the boy step by step how to operate the plane. 3 months later, the boy had become highly skilled at flying the plane. Under Jack's guidance, the boy successfully completed an airshow flight, even safely landing on the runway. The audience was amazed. If even a child could easily control the plane, then this airplane was destined for great success. In the end, thanks to the boy's incredible performance, Jack's design was a success. To be continued. Jack and John secretly boarded a luxury cruise ship for a mission, but as they accidentally passed by the kitchen's outer wall, their magnetic boot pulled all the dishes onto the wall, completely exposing their position. They quickly made their way to the deck, sneaking inside. The lights flickered. A beautiful woman suddenly grabbed them, then bodyguards shoved them into a room and locked the door from the outside. Jack pulled out a cotton swab, bent it, and slipped it into the crack of the door. They managed to escape, but the noise alerted the upper-level bodyguard. At this point, they quietly entered the engine room and successfully installed the data theft device. Then they quickly made their way back to the deck. Jack's teammate jumped off the ship and escaped. Anna raised her gun and chased after them. Jack suddenly spoke the secret code of the double agent. With a cool farewell, he made his exit. However, Anna didn't hear any splash. She stepped closer to check and saw Jack holding onto the railing, slowly climbing up. It was then Anna realized the spy's code had been compromised. Back at the hotel, Jack lay in bed, unable to sleep. Meanwhile, Anna quietly slipped into Jack's suite. Jack turned on the light and grabbed his pills, but he forgot which one was for staying alert and which one was for sleeping. He finally chose the sleeping pill and returned to bed. At that moment, Anna was already standing at the bedroom door, ready to push it open. To be continued. Jack had a magical pencil. Anything he drew with it would turn into a real object. One day, Jack was practicing his drawing skills. He drew a red apple. Suddenly, a strange noise came from the storage closet. Jack put down the pencil, walked over, and opened the door to check. To his surprise, there was an apple inside the closet, and it looked exactly like the one he had just drawn. This bizarre event left Jack shocked. Curious, Jack decided to do another test. This time, he drew a $1 bill. When Jack opened the closet again, a brand new bill appeared inside. While this made him happy, Jack was still a little confused. A bold idea suddenly popped into his mind. He quickly drew a stack of dollar bills. Sure enough, a pile of cash appeared in the closet. Greedy thoughts began to grow in Jack's mind. Next, Jack decided to draw the perfect girlfriend. He carefully outlined every detail of his ideal partner. Just as he was about to finish, a loud knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. He hurriedly put down the unfinished drawing and ran to answer the door. After signing for the package, Jack turned and looked at the closet. To be continued. Anna slowly opened her unusual eyes. Jack was immediately startled and took a step back. Before he could react, a zombie suddenly pounced from the shadows. Anna charged forward fiercely, delivering a punch that sent the zombie flying. Then she turned and walked toward Jack, extending her hand to signal for him to get up. Jack took her hand and slowly stood up, bowing politely. He then turned and left. But after walking a few steps, he couldn't help but glance back at Anna. Next, Jack rummaged through a pile of garbage, finally finding a can of food that was still edible. He carefully handed it to Anna, but Anna slapped the can away. Jack wasn't angry, and took out another can, placing it in front of her. This time, Anna stared at the can, grabbed it, and shoved the food into her mouth. But in the next moment, Anna immediately became alert. and snatched the food away from Jack. Later, Jack carried Anna through the forest, found an old shopping cart, placed Anna in it, and pushed her toward the shelter. When they arrived, Jack covered Anna's eyes with a scarf and followed the other survivors, quietly moving through the zombie-infested area. Finally, they reached the rooftop shelter. That night, Jack softly sang a song, but Anna suddenly smiled. The brief peace was shattered when the shelter leader fixated on Jack's gun. His subordinates grabbed Anna, forcing Jack to surrender his weapon. Anna lifted her head, turned her face to look at the man who was holding her. The next second, Anna suddenly exerted force, flinging the man toward the wall. Anna then grabbed another person's arm, the strength almost enough to crush. Jack rushed forward to stop Anna, and only then did she slowly release her grip. The scarf slipped off, and Anna's zombie-like eyes were revealed to everyone. Everyone was startled and took several steps back. The leader drew a crossbow bolt, aiming at Anna's head. The arrow flew through the air, and Anna collapsed to the ground. To be continued. Lisa was shocked to discover that her friend was floating in mid-air, surrounded by alien creatures. The scene was so bizarre, Lisa was too scared to say a word. She hurriedly took out her phone, wanting to capture the moment. But just as the camera focused on her friend suddenly opened her eyes, and in an instant, the entire scene vanished. The room returned to normal. Lisa thought she must have hallucinated. To uncover the truth, she decided to go to the hospital for a checkup. But when Lisa lay on the operating table, the doctor suddenly pressed down on her hands and feet. Lisa's body began to float, just like her friend had that night. Several doctors surrounded Lisa, picking up syringes to take her samples. Lisa struggled desperately, but she couldn't move at all. The next second, she passed out. At that moment, Jack rushed into the operating room. He interrupted the doctor's procedure and tore off their disguises. It turned out these people were a group of aliens. Jack quickly dealt with them. When Lisa woke up again, she found herself in a safe place. Jack told Lisa that she was a princess from another planet. The one chasing her was her own brother. Lisa couldn't believe it, so Jack decided to take her back to her homeland. But just as they were about to depart, the enemy attacked them. The explosion shattered the night sky. The two of them fell from thousands of meters in the air. To be continued.
Everybody, stop talking! Smile! Smile!
The boy is the son of Satan. Everything he says immediately becomes reality. The boy's sole purpose for descending to Earth is to destroy all of humanity. When the boy's power is fully awakened, the four horsemen of the apocalypse simultaneously sense it. They heed Satan's call and come to assist the boy in annihilating the world.
Another 5 minutes, and the whole world will be at war.
And once the war begins, the famine comes. Then the pollution.
This boy was raised by humans, and that warmth left a mark deep within him. Just as chaos was about to consume everything, human emotions helped the boy regain his sanity. With his sanity restored, the boy chose to defy Satan. He commanded the warriors to immediately stop the massacre. However, the four horsemen only obey the orders of hell, and would not heed the boy's command. So the boy raised his head, and bestowed his power upon his human companion. He told them, the four horsemen are nothing but the fears that grow within the human heart. As long as belief is strong enough, these disasters will not exist. But in that very moment, Death sensed something unusual. He immediately returned to hell, preparing to report to Satan. Enraged, Satan stepped onto Earth. To be continued. A robot just landed on Earth. It suddenly discovered that the energy ball was missing. At that moment, the ball rolled out of a corridor. A boy casually picked it up. The robot immediately locked onto the target. It began to chase after him, but unfortunately its battery was running low. It could only watch helplessly as the school bus drove into the school. In order to retrieve the energy ball, the robot attempted to infiltrate the campus. However, the guard at the entrance noticed it. The robot had no choice but to retreat for now. It circled around the perimeter, attempting to climb over the wall, but it was caught by the guard again. The robot refused to give up, but its battery was down to just 1%. In a critical moment, the robot noticed an electric vehicle dealership nearby. It staggered inside. The store manager mistook it for a human in strange clothes, and enthusiastically greeted it. The robot looked around and its gaze locked onto a newly charged electric car. It walked briskly toward it, but at the doorway, it completely lost power. The manager mistakenly thought the robot was crouching to inspect the car's underside, and praised its attention to detail. When the robot remained motionless, the manager helped it into the car, and began to enthusiastically introduce the new model. However, the robot quietly unplugged its charging cable, and plugged it into the car's charging port. The current flowed instantly. The robot silently regained energy, pretending to listen attentively. Suddenly, the car's lights flickered, and the whole car shut down. The manager was puzzled, thinking that the employee had forgotten to charge the car. But the next moment, the robot took the opportunity to unplug the cable, and ran toward the next car. It absorbed electricity from car to car, each time causing the vehicle to lose power instantly. Almost every car in the showroom was drained by it. Finally, the robot had restored full power. It began walking toward the school. This time, it was going to take revenge on that guard. To be continued. A man grabs the air. More police cars flip over. With a single wave, a prison transport truck rips apart. He raises both hands. A truck flies over his head. Then he makes a stop gesture. The truck freezes in midair. He is Magneto, leader of the mutants. He can control metal. Magneto is doing this to save other mutants. One of them is Anna. She can transform her body into anyone's appearance. Next is John. He can create countless copies of himself. Another is Dominion. His body is nearly indestructible, and he has immense strength. But then, a guard regains consciousness. He quietly fires at Magneto. Anna jumps in front of him. The serum dart hits her. Her powers are neutralized. She becomes human. This is why Magneto is saving mutants. If the serum spreads, mutants will vanish. To save them, Magneto gathers more mutants. They plan to destroy the serum facility. He leads his team to the Golden Gate Bridge. Using terrifying powers, he moves the entire bridge. Their target, the island ahead. The serum facility is there. The war between humans and mutants is about to begin. To be continued. Jack got accidentally locked inside the quantum lab. At first he thought his coworkers would let him out, but when they saw the countdown, despair hit him. The program had already locked the door. Jack begged them to open it. Then the machine powered on. In the next moment, his body turned to ash. Strangely, the next day, a humanoid figure appeared in the lab. Then it vanished before anyone could react. A few days later, Jack showed up at a restaurant. Only then did people realize Jack was no ordinary human. He had extraordinary powers. He could grow to giant size. He was immune to all physical harm. He could create multiple copies of himself. He even had mind control, able to destroy tanks with just his thoughts. As the strongest human in the world, Jack often felt lonely. He slowly lost his human emotion. His girlfriend could no longer feel his love. Jack seemed to forget human feelings too. After breaking up, he went alone to Mars. He planned to build his own kingdom. To be continued. This is a spoon-shaped alien. It had been drifting through the universe for 20,000 years, searching for companions like itself. Just when the alien was losing hope, it discovered Earth. This made it very happy. The spoon alien slowly approached Earth, opened its third eye, and saw all the creatures on the planet. But what excited it the most was it found another one of its kind. In that moment, the alien activated its superpower. All the spoons on Earth started floating. But this quickly turned into a disaster for humanity. Military experts believed this was an alien attack. They thought the alien came to steal all the spoons. Without spoons, humans wouldn't be able to eat. So military experts decided to launch an immediate attack. However, a female journalist argued that humans should consider themselves lucky. The alien only took the spoons. With its powers, the alien could have controlled anything, but it only took spoons. As they debated, more spoons began flying into space. In that moment, Jack grabbed a floating spoon and flew off into space. When the alien kissed the spoon, Jack appeared in space. He immediately pulled out his phone and started a live broadcast. Then the alien took control of all the spoons. They headed deep into the universe, but just then, the alien glanced at Jack. Jack's stomach immediately began to swell. To be continued. This is a wall you can touch but can't see. It's solid, blocking every entrance. Even trucks can't get through. The front of a truck crumbles instantly. Planes flying thousands of feet. They disintegrate on impact. But that's not all. The invisible wall has a powerful magnetic pull. It drags any metal toward it. A tiny badge on a jacket. A bucket on a park lookout tower. Even a 200-pound person. The officer's metal keys can't escape the pull. She reaches for the keys on the wall, trying to free the man. Then a car, drawn by the magnetism, moves toward her. She refuses to leave the man behind. At the last second, she pushes him away. The car hits her. Elsewhere, chaos spreads. Pans and knives fly toward the wall. People hide. Metal cylinder soars through the air. Just when they think they're safe, a refrigerator comes flying at them. In the end, they escape, but the entire building collapses into rubble. To be continued. The doctor lifts the woman's shirt. Her entire back is decayed. Even worse, when he collects a virus sample with tweezers, she feels nothing. Only a sudden chill runs through her body. Under the microscope, the fungi act like a virus. They invade cells and reproduce at a terrifying speed. At first, the doctors think this discovery will win them a Nobel Prize, but things take a dark turn. 10 minutes later, her right hand starts twisting violently. A mysterious force spreads through her body, changing her in horrifying ways. When the doctors rush back to the observation room, they freeze at the sight before them. A few days earlier, biologist Anna and the colonel were sent to the Arctic to collect samples of an unknown disease. Upon arrival, a man warns them to leave immediately. He claims a terrifying creature is sealed underground. If released, it could destroy the world. Then he takes the elevator down. Despite his warning, the colonel orders the soldiers to open the gate. The moment it opens, a tattered woman bursts out. Everyone is stunned. How did she survive 200-degree heat? Experts examine her, and the horrific scene unfolds. They realize the virus is deadly, but curiosity takes over. Then, the unthinkable happens. To be continued. Lisa is the last human on Earth. After 800 rounds of plastic surgery, all that's left of her is a tight layer of skin stretched over a frame. To keep her skin smooth, her servants constantly spray her with hydrating mist. In this luxurious hall, nobles from across the galaxy have gathered. They all have one thing in mind: to witness the destruction of Earth. According to the laws of the universe, Earth will disappear today. When the sun expands, they want to see it with their own eyes. Soon, more representatives arrive. Some were from twisted jungle planets, others from the world of blue dwarf stars, and a few were aliens with large faces. These creatures looked terrifying but were very polite. A girl from a jungle planet gave Jack a gift. It was a brand. Seeing this, the blue dwarf star representative didn't want to be left out, so he casually spat some saliva as a gift. A mimic sent a metal ball weighing about 314 pounds. The hall was packed with aliens from all over the universe, each one eagerly waiting for Earth's end. But Anna sat quietly in the corner, her eyes filled with sadness, because among all the people here, she was different. Anna was from the past. To be continued. This is an arm with its own consciousness. It kept moving inside the glass as if it were trying to carve something. The crowd gradually understood the arm's intent and immediately handed it a marker. Under their terrified gaze, the arm wrote a few lines. Cut open the Russian astronaut's stomach. Reading these words, everyone fell into deep thought. But to find the missing Earth, they ultimately decided to follow the instructions. Anna picked up a scalpel and carefully cut open the Russian astronaut's stomach. Then something unbelievable happened. Inside, they found a long-lost spaceship locator. They quickly connected the locator to a machine and started the computer to search for nearby planets. To their shock, Earth hadn't actually disappeared. It had just moved to the other side of the solar system. This discovery thrilled everyone. They immediately abandoned the damaged ship and piloted the escape pod straight to Earth. However, they had no idea that this Earth was no longer the one they knew. More exciting videos on the homepage. Sci-fi fans, follow me. To be continued. Jack accidentally stepped on a creature and crushed it. The next moment, a bunch of small animals gathered around the body, starting to feast. As Jack watched them, he didn't notice a fly flying by. The fly ripped through Jack's suit and crawled inside. When Jack finally saw the fly, he nearly lost his mind from fear. His teammate quickly removed his helmet, but the fly had already entered Jack's body. They rushed Jack to the hospital. By then, the fly was squirming under Jack's skin. The doctor examined him and said he would need to have his limb amputated. Terrified, Jack begged the doctor not to do it. But the fly changed direction, crawling down toward his lower body. Jack screamed, demanding they cut off his legs. But it was too late. The doctor calmly said they needed to remove the fly from Jack's rectum. When a female doctor asked if they needed lubricant, the doctor replied, "No time." Despite Jack's frantic resistance, they flipped him over and pulled down his pants. After some struggle, the doctor finally managed to extract the fly. But this wasn't just any fly. It was hiding a huge secret, and no one knew. A bigger crisis was about to unfold. To be continued. A researcher working in the lab accidentally tore his protective suit. He froze in panic. The air was filled with a deadly zombie virus. Without hesitation, he ripped off his oxygen mask and rushed into the purification room to clean himself. But it was already too late. The virus had already invaded his body. 10 minutes later, the researcher collapsed, convulsing violently. Medical staff rushed him to the hospital. The doctor quickly injected him with a serum. At that moment, the researcher convulsed again, and the needle slipped, piercing the nurse's finger. The nurse immediately disinfected the wound with iodine. but the virus had already entered her bloodstream. The infection began spiraling out of control. The virus spread with terrifying speed. In just a few hours, the entire city fell. Medical supplies ran out completely. The commander urgently called for help from the central government. But what arrived wasn't medicine. It was a firebomb. The research center was instantly consumed by flames. No one knew. The virus had already spread to wildlife. Days later, a poacher sneaked into a nearby forest, planning to catch a few monkeys to sell to the rich. On the way, one of the monkeys spat at him. He didn't think much of it, and continued to transport the monkey to a pet store. What they didn't know was, the real nightmare was just beginning. To be continued.
Robo.
Carrie's mission was to find the one disguised as a robot. He grabbed a machete and started checking one by one. But no matter how hard Carrie searched, he couldn't find anything out of the ordinary. Meanwhile, standing right next to him, the real human, Jack, was nervously sweating. Sweat slid down his forehead, but Jack forced himself to stay calm, hiding any signs of panic. To speed up the search, Carrie came up with an idea. He ordered all the robots to turn their heads at the same time, but Jack couldn't do that. Carrie immediately sensed something was off. In that moment, Jack was exposed. Carrie rushed forward and shoved a gun straight into Jack's mouth. The tension was unbearable. Just as Carrie was about to pull the trigger, a group of soldiers burst in. They attacked the robot. Carrie instantly gave the order, telling all the robots to form a defensive circle. The soldiers were completely stunned. Before they could react, the robots began to fight back. Within seconds, more than half of the soldiers were wiped out. Then the robots broke through, trying to escape the bait, but the military had already set a trap. They tried to use reflections to interfere with the robots' visual systems. Seeing the situation spiral out of control, Carrie changed tactics. He ordered his men to destroy all the mirrors. The robots immediately acted, shattering the mirror. The soldiers fired heavy artillery, but still couldn't stop them. Carrie was beyond furious. In the next moment, he made a crazy decision. Carrie connected all the robots together, forming a massive steel serpent 100 meters long. It began to twist, preparing for a devastating counterattack. To be continued. This is the world's largest burger. Jack opened the door to grab it. He was excited to take a sip of soda, but something was off. No matter how hard Jack sucked, nothing came out. Even when he flipped the cup upside down, not a drop. Jack was confused. He picked up a utility knife and tried cutting the cup open. To his surprise, the soda had turned into plaster. Jack lost it. He immediately called to complain. He told them he didn't want soda, he wanted a burger instead. Not long after, the doorbell rang again, but no one was there. Just as Jack was wondering what was going on, he heard a noise coming from the kitchen. He went over to check, and there it was, a gigantic burger. This was too ridiculous. Jack had no choice but to swap the burger for a meal combo. Soon the delivery arrived. Jack thought things were finally back to normal. But strangely, the package felt unusually light, like it was empty. When he opened it, all he found were empty bags. Jack was beyond furious. He exchanged the meal for fries. Not long after, the doorbell rang again, but this time the package was empty too. However, when Jack turned around, he found the table covered in potatoes. To solve the problem once and for all, Jack decided to buy the delivery shop. 10 minutes later, the doorbell rang again. This time it was even crazier. They delivered everything from the store. Would you dare eat such a big burger? The story isn't over. Stay tuned. On the spaceship, on the 6th day of the Mars mission, the skin on the man's feet began to peel off in an unsettling way. During a routine check, the doctor noticed this. However, Ram's overall health seemed fine. It turned out that in zero gravity, certain parts of the human body could shrink or even start to deteriorate. Meanwhile, the spaceship's water supply system became clogged. When they turned on the faucet, no water came out. Strange sounds came from the pipes. After checking, Jenny discovered that the distillation unit was malfunctioning. This device was crucial to the spaceship's water recycling system. Jenny suggested replacing the distillation unit, but it would be an extremely difficult task. Before starting the mission, John's eyesight had to be evaluated. After completing the vision test, the captain wasn't pleased with the results. As the spaceship drifted in space, the captain and his partner started gathering water resources. They realized they only had half of what they originally had. Even with water-saving measures, they'd only consumed 2 days' worth. Under the captain's orders, they shut down the distillation unit and began the replacement process. The operation officially began under Jenny's guidance. But halfway through, Jenny suddenly stopped. The captain asked her what was wrong. John said that contaminants had become stuck in the pipes. To repair the spaceship, every component would need to be replaced, over 2,000 parts. Even if just one part failed, the whole system would shut down. The captain, feeling helpless, finally gave a grim order. To be continued. Strange things started happening all around the world. Whenever 3 identical items were placed together, they would immediately disappear. Even 3 people wearing the same jersey would vanish the moment they touched. On the subway, 3 girls were showing off the same watch, watching in shock as it disappeared in front of them. In an instant, this triple disappearance caught the attention of the school. The principal announced that uniforms were now banned. As soon as the notice went out, the 3 girls accidentally bumped into each other. As everyone panicked and fled, the chaos spread. After watching the news, the triplets quickly distanced themselves from each other. At the supermarket, the fruits were carefully arranged, but when a mischievous child caused trouble, the shopkeeper was helpless. Even the same pair of shoes on the counter would vanish as soon as they touched. People dressed in the same clothes stopped shaking hands after meeting, terrified. Washing dishes at home became dangerous. Even the internet began to collapse, because once you typed in 3 W's, they would disappear too. If 3 identical phones were placed together and didn't disappear, it meant they were fakes. This phenomenon gave criminals an opportunity. They dressed their hostages in the same clothes, hoping to make them disappear from the world. However, when the hostages touched, the triple disappearance effect didn't work. It turns out, it was all just God playing a game. The game ended, but God started a new round, and the next second... Can you believe this is an Apple computer? A man excitedly opened his brand new Apple computer, but when he turned it on, he was stunned. He discovered that the computer was actually just an apple. He tried typing on the keyboard and miraculously text appeared on the apple. Then he pressed the search key. To his shock, all the search results were about apples. He went to an online store, only to find that everything for sale was apples. Just then, his delivery arrived. He quickly tore open the package to reveal a brand new iPhone. But to his surprise, it was another apple. He thought he was hallucinating, so he grabbed a glass of water to calm himself down. But after taking a sip, the water turned into apple juice. Back at the computer, he searched the news, and to his horror, even the sun turned into an apple. In a fit of rage, he slammed his fist on the desk and searched his own name. The result? His name was now an apple. He opened a world map and started zooming out, shrinking it all the way down. In the end, the entire Earth was just one giant apple. Then his head turned into an apple too. Turns out, it was all just a dream. He woke up and walked over to his computer. When he opened it, to be continued. How twisted are the thoughts of the people of the homeland. He actually forced Deep Sea to eat his best friend. You have to understand, Deep Sea has the ability to communicate with marine life. The ocean is his home. Watching someone eat his friend made him feel disgusted beyond measure. He would never do such a thing. Deep Sea kept begging the people of the homeland to spare his friend, but they didn't listen. It seemed that only by fulfilling this cruel condition could Deep Sea return to the team. Under the cold, ruthless gaze of the homeland people, Deep Sea began to swallow painfully. He thought this would make them stop, but unexpectedly they immediately turned their attention to a girl. She was the one who had tried to jump off the building. It seemed like a rescue mission. Under the homeland people's threats, the girl was forced to jump. After that, the people of the homeland became more reckless. They even publicly humiliated Huey. Huey could no longer hold back and was about to snap. Fortunately, Starlight appeared just in time, quickly stopping their conflict. After this, Starlight knew she couldn't take it anymore. She went to see A-Train, proposing they team up to take on the homeland people. Since they had once been friends, A-Train agreed to her request, but things took an unexpected turn. To be continued.